Hi kids, we're back to work on 97 Chevy Silverado pick me up truck, and we're having fuel problems. It's a long story, but I'm gonna get to it at the end of this video. If you're looking for the fuel filter on this truck, we're on the driver's side, and if we go up under the truck and past the frame, it's toward the front of the truck, and there she is right there. It's actually attached to the frame of the truck. We're going to replace this, not because I think this is the problem. I know I need a fuel pump, which is actually in the gas tank, which sounds like a major big job, but it's really, if you take your time on this, it's not going to be as hard as you think it is. The key to that job is to take your time. And again, we're back. The first thing we're going to do is replace this filter, and try to get a peek inside of it. And because I'm thinking it's clogged, and it's making the fuel pump and the gas tank work too hard to push gas through lines into the engine. I'm not positive that's what's going on. But other than constantly riding low on gas, this fuel pump shouldn't go out. It's whining. It's whining big time when it heats up. So we'll get to the fuel pump later. First, it's a good idea before you start working on this to spray with WD-40 up in these joints. These we're going to have to hold one wrench on this nut and another wrench on this nut and turn them until they break loose. And the issue with these things is they're always rusty because it's up under the truck, and this is where all the rainwater ends up splashing up into, and they rust, and they can be a major ordeal. This clip one was. These can be a major ordeal to get off. So it's no big deal. Bear with me for a second. I know the video's getting shaky, but there's the WD-40. And we're going to go back up. I wonder if this is a better view up here. And spraying these joints here. And on the other side, I can't tell if you can see it, but just drown the damn thing. And if you're not in a big rush to do that, leave that sit for a day or two, and it shouldn't be too difficult to get loose. So that's the fuel filter we're going to change, and when we get done that, we're going to work on the dreaded fuel pump. Have a good day. Here we are back with part 2. Part 2 of fixing this fuel problem I have on this pick-me-up truck. I'm pretty certain that I need a actual fuel pump. We're looking at the fuel filter. And the reason I want to change this first is because if this is clogged, it will cause the fuel pump, which is in the gas tank, to go out. Because it's just working too hard to push gas through this line into the engine. So if you're going to change your fuel pump, you should probably change the filter, because that might be causing the whole problem, and you don't want to put a new pump in if this filter is clogged, and because it's going to put too much strain on the new one, and you're going to wind up buying another one. So there's a couple things to know before you take this apart. Number one, you're going to get gas dripping out of here, out of these lines. Not a lot, just kind of a little bit. So you don't want to smoke up under here when you do this. You don't want to smoke anyway. Quit smoking, it's bad for you. Shut up, John. Number two, the tool to use to take these off is going to be a line wrench. It's called a line wrench. It's like a Brock's wrench, except it has an opening on it, and it allows the wrench to slip on the line and put more force and more metal of the wrench actually on the there's things going on over there, and it's got my attention, so I'll be right back. We're back. I used to have a set of line wrenches, but my tools around here conveniently disappear. If people borrow them, and which I'm all for, I'll lend anybody anything, but they tend to not bring them back. Or they get mixed up with their own tools, and they don't know whose is whose. Which is really aggravating when you go to work on a car and you don't have the tool that you used to have, but disappeared. So now you got to track it down, and you're wasting time, and it's just it's a major pet peeve of mine. But anyway, a line wrench is the proper tool to use here. So, and the reason why is because you want as much wrench metal as you can get around that nut, because these are often a bear to break loose because they're rusty. You're up under the truck, and that's where, every time you splash a puddle, water's jumping up in here and sitting there and rusting the metal away. So another thing you want to know is this could be under a little bit of pressure. These lines might be, and not a lot of pressure, just like maybe 1 pound, where if it's clogged, the fuel pump was sending gas through, and it's slowing down right here, so there could be a little pressure here. And this nut is going to be the one that's turning. You're actually just using a wrench here to keep everything from binding, and to get a little bit more leverage as you try to turn this nut. And this nut is going to go, or this wrench here is going to go upward toward the floorboard, and this other wrench here is going to go down toward the ground as you go to turn it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this while I'm holding the camera, because I only have one hand to work here. I might be able to look for a place to set. No, let's see, that's not going to work. So I'll be right back with part 4 here. It wasn't hard to get off. And that's what we have, the inlet and the outlet here. As you can probably see, made a bit of a mess. There was a little bit of pressure in there, just a tiny bit, and we lost some gas dripping out from what was left in these lines and what was heading to the engine. This mount here, it should have a clip on it on the other end, but it wasn't there. So you don't have to take off this whole, cheap little bracket. You just take off that clip and sort of just pry it open and pull the filter out. That's it. Don't lay directly under this, because again, gas is gonna come out and you don't want to get it in your eye or on your face or whatever. The lovely smell of gas reminds me of my days as a kid working at a gas station pumping gas in New Jersey. There's the filter. I think I'm going to cut that open and see what we got inside. Hopefully I won't create any sparks and blow myself up. So I guess that will be in the next part of the video. I'm going to send someone out to get me a new filter. And I mean, it's a no-brainer, a kind of small-time job, but it absolutely should be the first thing you check when your car is just not getting the power and feels like it's running out of gas. Because your whole problem could be just this filter and not the fuel pump. And there's nothing much to it. And even if it is your fuel pump, you want to change the old filter once again. I'll catch up with you guys. We're back in part 5. We're looking at a fuel filter here. And as you can see, I started cutting this in half just because I was curious about how clogged up and how cruddy it was, but it's not really necessary because I'm replacing it no matter what it looks like. And my hacksaw blade was not up to par. In fact, it was old and worn out. Maybe someday when I get rich, I'll invest in some hacksaw blades. They tend to come in handy. Most of your new filters will have the word flow on it, and then it'll have an arrow pointing to which way the gas flows. So it's like in from the fuel pump, which is in this case in the gas tank, and out to the engine. As you can see, hopefully, this one doesn't have the word flow on it. But it does have the word out on this side of it. Wasn't that nice of them? It doesn't have the word in on that side of it, but it does have the word out 2 times on this side. So it's out to the engine. So this would be the back of the car, and the fuel pump's back here in the gas tank, and this would be the front of the car toward the engine. Alright, when we put this back on, we're going to put Teflon tape on the nut that actually screws in to these parts here, these nuts. And folks, don't use Loctite because, the next guy, he's going to go to change his filter 20 years down the road, and he's going to play hell getting it off if you use that crap. Just a little bit of Teflon tape. It's a good idea to wire brush the threads that go on the other nut that screws into that puppy and this puppy. All this is the result of what's probably a fuel pump going out in the gas tank. And the thing about that is don't go out and buy a fuel pump before you take it out of the gas tank, because there's different parts on it. If this was the fuel pump, which is not, at the bottom of it that lays at the bottom of the gas tank is a preliminary filter that filters the gas before it goes up through the pump. That could be clogged. So you would just have to figure out where the crud is coming from inside your gas tank. It should be clean as a whistle in there. And you might have to just drop the whole gas tank and flush it out, or you might even wind up buying a whole new gas tank if that preliminary filter is clogged up. And it has a float that comes down and floats on top of the gas, the top of the gas line, and that sends a signal to your gas gauge about how much gas you have in the car. If you're always running low on gas, which a lot of people do, I'm one of them, you're always picking up that crud at the bottom of your gas tank if there is crud in there. And that will cause that filter to clog up, and it will cause the other filter, which is this, to clog up too. And you need to find out why there's crud in there, if there is. Because you don't want to put a new filter in a cruddy gas tank. It's just going to clog up again, and you're going to have problems again. And there's other parts of the fuel pump too. There's a little hose that could have rotted away. There's things that can fall off it. So you don't know when you buy it. And they're going to try to sell you the whole assembly with the lines and the float and the whole shebang. And that's going to cost you over $200, maybe $250 for the whole thing. And if you just need a pump, which is probably all you need, the pump will cost you $70. Anywhere from like $70 to $120. If you just need the screen, that's just going to cost a couple dollars. The point is, take it apart, drop the gas tank, and take the pump out, and see what's going on. I mean, and really get down there and examine it before you replace stuff that you don't have to replace. I'm a cheapskate, and well, that's a little harsh. I don't believe in paying for things that you don't need, put it that way. And this is one of the reasons I work on my cars, and my motorcycle, and I do everything myself, because these mechanics, they charge crazy prices. And it's not that I can't afford them, it's just that this stuff really isn't that hard if you just take your time with it. And that's the key. If you never did this before, you can do most work on the car if you take your time that first time. Just set out the whole day to do something, even if you think it's just a half-hour job, and take 3 hours on it. And then the next time, you'll know it like the back of your hand, and you can do it in a half hour, and maybe even less. And then all of a sudden, your friends and neighbors will come out of the woodwork with car problems, wanting you to fix it, because at that point, you know what you're doing. So that's where we're at. I can't think of anything else to add. I got my guys going out and getting a filter, and that'll be a no-brainer just to connect it back up. And then I'll take the last video of that at that point, and then we'll run gas through it and start the car and test drive it, you know, just around the local neighborhood, and really let everything warm up, and see if the fuel pump is still creating a problem. And at that point we'll get to the fuel pump, and that'll be a whole nother video. So there we are. I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you learned something. I hope I saved you some money. That's the point. So I'll catch up with you for the last part of this fuel filter video, which will be part 6, and then I'm going to splice them all together and make just one long video. I know this is long, and all the mechanics are probably saying, "My God, John, why do you have a 1-hour video for a 10-minute job?" And that goes back to, if you never done this, if you never did this, you just go back to taking your time and doing it right, and you'll be thankful for one day, because you'll know what you're doing, and you'll know how to fix it in 10 minutes the next time you have the problem. Alright, so that's it, man. Adios. One more thing when you're doing this, at the end of these lines here, there is a little O-ring. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of brown right there. Don't lose these things. There's one on this one too. You can't really see it, but it's black. And if they don't remain on the lines when you take them off, chances are they're in the old filter, and you're going to need them, or else this is going to leak. So if it's not there and it's not in your filter, check on the top of this frame here, and check on the ground, because the new one does not come with those little O-rings. And here's the new one. No O-ring. Here's that little arrow I was telling you about with the flow. It's a pure later, which is going to be a little more expensive, just a couple dollars than the other ones, but that's a good name, so I decided to get the good one. After this, one more video of me starting the car. I can't hold this camera and put the new filter in at the same time, but it's a no-brainer, so you shouldn't have any problems with that. Okay, Skippy. Oh. We're going under. As you can hear, we have the truck running, and we're going to slip up under here and make sure nothing is leaking. That's the first thing you want to do. No runs. I'm going to get a clip for that right there. It's just a clip that goes on there. No big deal. And I don't know if you can hear that high-pitched whining. Can you hear it? Well, that's the fuel pump. And it's working too hard. Something's wrong with it. And it probably needs to be replaced, so that's going to be our next video. This thing needs to go up there. And we're going to tackle it, me and you together. So far we have no leaks. We're going to take this truck around the block and see how it's running. If it still feels like it's running out of gas, we're going to let it warm all the way up. And then we're going to just drive and drive and drive until... Now what's happening with this car is it's, when it started going out, it'll die, like, you know, run out of gas. And then if you leave it sit and cool down for like 10 minutes, it'll start right back up. But then it'll only let you drive maybe 2 or 3 miles before it dies again. So, now that we have a new fuel filter, we're going to see if it's any better, what it is still doing. And I can tell you, just by the sound of the fuel pump, this wasn't the problem. But it's nice to have a new one on there. It's only going to cost you between $15 and $20. So that's it, man. That's the end of this. Y'all have a groovy week, year, life.